Hello everybody, whether you're on here on the live or listening back to the whatchamacallit, the recording, or if you're on YouTube or whatever, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, hello. I'm Angie, in case you didn't know that. Yeah, so the topic for this evening is high strangeness. Thinking why? Well, I think the world is pretty flipping strange at the moment. But specifically, there was something very, very strange going on yesterday across the road from us. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, not the details, but just the. Oh, hang on, I've gone off. Oh, goodness me. Okay, and I'm back. Am I back?
You went again.
I know. Yeah. Oh, stupid internet.
We've lost you. Angie, come back.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a song in there.
Okay. I'm back.
You're back. All right.
Oh, I'm going to give up with the stupid internet. I'll just go mobile data. That's it. Okay. So, yes, high strangeness. So I'm not going to go into the details of what was happening yesterday, just the overall kind of energetic quality of it, which was very, very strange. But before I get into that, you might have heard this term before. I think most of you listening to this will have heard this term before, high strangeness. But if you don't, then I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on what high strangeness is. So I suppose for us, walking the synchro mystic illuminated path, it's when something happens which is kind of very much outside of your creation, because I don't actually believe that everything going on out there is, you know, our own personal creation, because everyone's doing it. And if everyone's doing it, then you're going to bump up against someone else's bubble at some point. Yeah. And you go, what the frick is that? You know, so I suppose to me, high strangeness is the observation of those, you know, glimpsing someone else's bubble, if you like. So I suppose, because, you know, myself and Ian have talked about this at length about, you know, when someone fly tips on the green outside, how is that a reflection of anything that we do? Well, it's not. But that's someone else's bubble. But all you're doing is seeing into their bubble. Does that make sense? Because if everyone is a creator, whether they realize it or not, whether they're doing it deliberately or not, creating, I mean, you're always going to see, especially if it's, you know, in your local vicinity, you're always going to see someone else's bubble and how that projects out. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. So yeah, what is high strangeness? So I think that's what that is. When you're seeing someone else's reality play out, and it usually doesn't make sense as well. And that could be multiple different reasons. You know, that could be total misalignment of what that person is creating, if you like. And if you are not like that being that is creating that, then you wouldn't understand it. You could not even, it's like trying to get into the head of a psychopath. You know, if you're not a psychopath, you're never going to really understand the mind of a psychopath. Why am I talking about psychopaths? Because I was fascinated by serial killers when I was younger. Little funny side note. I used to cut things out of newspapers because that's what you used to do back then. We didn't have the internet, so I used to cut articles out of newspapers and photocopy bits out of books in the library about serial killers because it fascinated me as what drives these people. Yeah, and I used to keep them in a box file that I labelled strange people. Yeah. And people would come in and they go, what's in that box file up there? I said, well, have a look. And they'd open it up and go, oh my God, close it and put it back on the shelf. So, well, you asked. So, yeah, that's why I referenced psychopaths there. Anyway, getting off the subject a bit. But that's high strangeness in itself. So yeah, I think that's what high strangeness is. High strangeness is when you are observing, bumping into, or observing someone else's bubble and what they are creating in that bubble, which just defies logic, reason, and intuition. Yeah. So, okay, just quickly going to open that up. Yeah. For anyone who has more to add on the definition of what high strangeness is. Okay. Anybody? Is that because I mentioned serial killers?
I got an example of high strangeness. I know there's someone with a place up in the mountains, right? And she had bad weather. She could have chosen to either park her vehicle at the bottom of the hill or use her studs and go up this long hill to her home in the mountains. And knowing bad weather was there, without food or water. Okay, without food or water. So she goes up there. The house is empty. She's just getting the last few things out of it. There's nothing in the house. Okay.
Yep.
So except her, and but no food or water. Now she wakes up in the morning and there's 4 inches of ice on her road all the way for a long way down. So she has to call for help, right? But that's high strangeness when she knew she could possibly be stranded by going up there. She chose to go up there only, anyways, but without food and water. So she's a diabetic. She put her life at peril. That's high strangeness. To me, I consider that high strangeness.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because if you know, if you have inbuilt thing, if you live in that kind of area, then yeah, that it makes no sense, does it? Makes no sense at all. Unless that was a pattern of behavior, but even that you could say is high strangeness. Okay. So
it brings to mind Dexter.
What, the series?
Yeah.
Brilliant series.
Brilliant series. I mean, it got a bit silly in the middle, but then it got better. But yeah, great. Well, he's using his DAC to kind of do good in a vigilante kind of way to save other people being harmed, you know. So it's a really good moral argument kind of question, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, a lot of people would think, yeah, that's high strangeness indeed, you know.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be in his bubble.
No.
But actually, you never meet him, and he's taking all these scumbag serial killers off the street, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to be in that bubble, especially not if you see plastic everywhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, imagine waking up, you know, from the jam, and you're pinned down with plastic, and you got this guy help you with a big knife and that. Yeah. Crazy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it really gets. It makes you think, you know.
Yeah, it does. So, high strangeness. So, what do we think that high strangeness indicates? what is it telling us? Because everything is always telling us something. Even if it's not our own creation, we're observing something, it can still tell us something about, this realm that we're in this movie that we're watching, if you like transurfing stuff, then that's the movie that we're watching. So what do we think that it's telling us about, what we're experiencing? And I think, that there's been a lot of, I think we're noticing high strangeness more since 2020. We've seen all kinds of weird and wonderful things, and not just, people and stuff, but nature as well. Nature's doing quite high strangeness things. I don't know if the rest of you noticed in the winter solstice 2020, the sun changed color, noticeably changed color on that solstice, because we were out quite early that morning. It was, if I remember rightly, it was very icy, walking on the marshes. And when the sun came up, I said to Ian, I said, "What's wrong with the sun?" And we were, all the way along the marsh walk. We were kind of like, well, I don't know, what is that? And it's a change of something, yeah. But it was very noticeable that the color of the sun had changed. And if we hadn't noticed it before, we certainly noticed it on that solstice. Other high strangeness, we've actually seen people glitching out. Whether that's just standing there, like not moving. It is so. We saw one today. In fact, we saw one today. So, because of the strange things that were going on yesterday, I'm looking out the window, watching the squirrels as well, like you do. But I'm looking out the window, and there's someone standing in the middle of the road, and they had a drink, and then they were eating a sandwich or something, but they were standing in the middle of the road doing it. And then they turned around and walked in the opposite direction, but how they were walking was kind of zombie-like. It's the only reference I've got. They were walking like a zombie, not arms outstretched going, "Oh, I want to eat your brains," but that staggery type of walking. And it's like, what was that? And I think that's what high strangeness makes you say. It makes you go, what was that? And the other one, so this was, I think this was when our first grandchild was on his way, and we'd come. I don't think we weren't even allowed in the hospital, actually, because it was all that, "Oh, you're not allowed in there. You're going to wear all the shit." No, thanks. So we were waiting outside the hospital, and we literally saw a guy come round the corner, and there's a bit of wall sticking out. He literally went into the wall, stepped back, like in a video game, and it's like he get the fact that there was a wall in the way, and then when he did, he kind of stopped and then went around the corner. It was really, really strange to watch that in real time with your own eyes. It's like, high strange. So, yeah. So what does that indicate? What is that telling us? What is it trying to illustrate?
I think it's showing us that we're not only watching the movie, but we're in the movie as well, right? And the type of things we encounter in the movie is telling us something about where we are on our journey ourselves, So it's these things happen to make us think about, like you're doing now, we're asking us all, what does it all mean,
Yeah.
Because it seems really weird to you, but to those people, it probably doesn't at all, right? Even if they're actually from the same realm, they might be from another dimension or something, just whose vibration has changed or something, and they appeared suddenly here, and they're in the middle of the road eating a sandwich or something,
Yeah. If they're in a slightly off dimension, like vibrationally. So in Fringe, they explore that concept of every world has a different frequency, a slightly different frequency. So yeah, if they've bled through the crack there, and then they've arrived, and yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and there's one in that show where someone appears in the middle of a main intersection in the middle of New York or something, right, with the rush hour traffic or something like that. It's like,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, I mean, mostly I think it's telling you something about where you are, and it's saying, have a look at this. You need to look at this because it's going to teach you something about where you're coming from, where you are, and where you're going next, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, like, I think, you know, I've noticed a kind of divergence for years now, and you only notice this once you're on a certain path and you've read certain books and become aware of certain things and philosophies and you know all the stuff.
Yeah.
So and then you kind of really notice. And I knew you were going to say zombie when you talked about that. I thought, I bet she's going to say zombie, and I thought, yeah. Because it is, for me, that's what these zombie movies allegorically are saying. You know, they're saying that people stuck in the mainstream matrix kind of thing, they do behave like zombies, and all zombie movies do is exaggerate that to make it more obvious, you know. And that's why they're usually set in fucking shopping malls, right?
Yeah, that's weird. That is.
I mean, if there's anywhere more mainstream matrix than the shopping mall, I can't think of one. You know, it's like
yeah,
terrible, soulless fucking places, right?
Yeah.
So, but you only kind of notice that once you're on this other path, and then what I noticed, and I heard other people talking about, like David Icke at the time, was this divergence of some people, and a lot more people every day, waking up to the reality of where they are and what the hell they're doing in their lives and everything, and wanting to change it and get out of it and get on this other path. But then other people just wanting to get even more deeply into the fucking matrix, you know, and have more cars and more houses and more of everything and more materialism and going the other way and like walking in the opposite direction, you know. So I guess it's what someone like Pam Gregory would call a timeline shift, or a split in the timelines, or a new timeline opening up. And the people on the other timeline can't really identify with the people on the other timeline. You know.
But yeah, and it's interesting because we can still see their bubble, but they can't see the bubble that we're in. It's really interesting.
Yeah, because what you're saying is you looking at what they're doing and you're finding their behaviour very strange, right?
Yeah.
Which is typically what people in the mainstream normally say about people who are witches or
exactly.
pagans, or you're saying, oh, they're a bunch of freaks, then you stay away from them, you know.
Yeah.
But now it's like the other way round, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's interesting. And
yeah, there's been a flip.
Yeah, there's been a flip. So the other thing I wanted to share was when you mentioned winter solstice 2020. That's when we had the seed point for the current Saturn-Jupiter cycle we're in, when they were conjunct on the winter solstice. Do you remember that day? So Saturn was conjunct Jupiter, called the Great Conjunction.
Was that and it made like that's almost like a star shape in the sky?
Well, yeah, they were so close together. If you didn't have very good eyesight, they looked like one bright star. You know?
Yeah, I remember that.
And I had my friend here, and we were watching it out of the window because it faces west to the sea, you know, and yeah, you could see it really, really clearly after sunset, and so that may have affected the color that you saw the sun that day.
Yeah,
that's what came to me. You know, because you're obviously very sensitive to energy and vibration and frequency. Because of the work you do and the way you are. So you might have noticed the sun being a different colour, but other people may not have noticed that, you know?
Yeah. I think the people that were around us, well, there weren't many people around us at the time, actually. But the ones that were like, well, Yeah, okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but they can't see it the same way you do, you know?
Yeah, and that's that thing I always talk about. It's your perception is always influenced by your perspective. So what you see is influenced by where you are on that path going up the hill, you know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
always,
exactly.
always.
Yeah. Dare I say your iPod, you know?
Hi, Val.
Hi, Angie. I just wanted to come in on the sun thing changing colour because I think that was a permanent change.
Yes.
It certainly was. It certainly was for me, and I don't know if I noticed it on the winter solstice, but once I'd like moved back down to Kent and away from all the shit, and I used to have lovely walks with the dog in the evening, and it's like bloody hell, that sun is like platinum now. It's not really yellow, and it's still the same.
Yeah.
And no one can really explain that. I mean, absolutely. And I've sort of thought. I mean, I remember I said this before to you, but years and years and years ago, I was driving one night and came to some traffic lights not very far from where I lived, and I was like, bloody hell, what's happened to the colours of those lights? They're so intense. I've never seen them that intense before. So I kind of think that maybe part of it is us changing our, whatever it is in our eyes that deals with colours, the rods and cones or whatever. Well, I think we're changing as maybe as well as the sun and the moon are. That's sort of, and I just stay open to that because I can't explain it, but that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because it's definitely not gone back to its usual yellow, which is yeah. So again, high strangeness. Yeah, that's very cool. So yeah, a little bit about the strangeness that happened yesterday. So across the road from us, we have so we live in it's like a horseshoe shape road that goes around, and there's a green in the middle. There's houses one side, and what we live in, which I suppose you would call it a maisonette. So it's a flat on top of another flat, and then there's a little bit of green on the edge on the top of the horseshoe. Yeah. So there's one house at the top of the horseshoe, and there are self-confessed gypsies living there, yeah, and we know they've fly tipped for years there because they used to fly tip on the green out the front, and they're we say hello, we're polite, but you wouldn't want anything to do with them really. And because the guy's been inside for different things, we don't know what really, but he has been inside. So we're sitting here. So no, we weren't even sitting here. It was right in the morning. So I got up, was in the living room, and I saw a police car outside the house, which isn't unusual, I have to say. And then as the day unfolded, there were more police cars, and then they were cordoning off the garden. They weren't allowed back in the house, and basically the police were there all day. I mean, I don't know what time they left. It must have been about 1 o'clock in the morning. But they were searching the house for something, but no one was arrested. It was really, really strange. My neighbour down the road, around here, up the road a bit, and round as the road that goes like round from where we are. So the police were there. There'd been something happened to do with that family, and it was, I don't know. My neighbour down the road, who she's funny, she is, because she's blind. So when the police knocked on her door, I don't know what she would have said, but she would have probably taken the mickey out of him. They go, what did you see? Well, I'm blind. I can't see anything. But she was like, because she's lived here quite a long time. I've lived here nearly 20 years, and it's nothing like that ever. And I don't know, strangeness. But so what was that telling us? What was that showing us? And it's, I don't know. It was just so, oh, what was that? I heard my voice on an echo. Because you could take that at a base level, you know. What would the base level of that be?
Maybe it's about relativity.
Yeah, go on.
So, like, wherever you are on a spectrum, there's always someone higher up the spectrum or lower down or further this way or that way. You know, and for me, this is what Gulliver's Travels is about. Was it Robert Swift or somebody Swift who wrote it? Whatever. It's about, you know, because in one world he's tiny and they're big, and in another world he's massive and they're tiny.
Yeah.
So it's really about perspective, as you said, and relativity, and to make you realise that there's always someone worse off or better off than you, and, you know, whatever it is, you can always compare yourself to other people. But really, it doesn't matter. And what matters is what you're doing and where you are and all of that, you know. So maybe, like I said, some people might look at you and Ian and go, "Oh, who are those weirdos?"
Yeah, they do.
Right, but then you're looking at these gypsies and saying, "Oh, who are those weirdos? I wouldn't want to go in their house and find out what they're up to," you know. So,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It could be a kind of relativity thing. That you're finding it high strangeness, and often other people find you guys high strangeness, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just saying that we're all somewhere on the spectrum of something, and there's always someone on a different part of it, and we might have assumptions about what those people are like based on our experience or our conditioning or whatever it is, but we don't really know. And it could have been that they fly tip on the green sometimes and piss people off, but it could be generally that they hadn't done anything wrong and the cops were trying to fit them up and get rid of them all. So, you know, you never know, right?
Well, they you know, that's always a possibility in this in this strange climate that we're in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just I've never seen it in my life. I've never seen anything quite like that. But yeah, it definitely makes you appreciate, as I'm always saying to Ian, I'm so glad we're us. I wouldn't want to be anyone else.
Right, exactly. Well, that's great, right? Because it means you're very happy with the path you've chosen and the life you chose to incarnate in.
Yeah, and I have to say, for a very, very long time, I was not. I fought and screamed every step of the way.
There you go then. So to me, that's a great message that you're very happy with yourself, who you are and what you're doing now, and contented with that, you know, and you don't want to be anyone else.
Yeah.
I think it's a positive thing, you know. Maybe those things are happening to show you how positive it is where you are now, you know.
Yeah, I like that. I'll take that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, what I will also say is high strangeness doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, not that there's, you know, good high strangeness and bad high strangeness, but high strangeness can also come in the form of amazing things that happen. It's like, because, you know, everything's weird to me with a Y, yeah. Because everything is magic. Everything is magic. Everything is weird with a Y and slightly strange in this realm, I would say. And I think that's because, you know, our fundamentally who we are isn't necessarily in line with how things work in this realm. It's very dense in this realm, yeah. So, you know, these things that on these synchro mystic happenings, which are, you know, when they happen, You know it. It's not like you could miss it when these things happen. It's like a giant billboard in front of you going this way. And you're like, oh, okay, that way. Thank you. So little example, just a little one. So I was having technical issues this morning with my Wi-Fi, trying to get the Wi-Fi booster thingy that you plug into the wall to work. Yeah, and it was not working. So I was literally roaring at this thing to work. Obviously that doesn't work, but it made me feel, it didn't even make me feel better actually. It made me feel very annoyed. But what was really weird, yeah, is I reset everything. Is today has been the energy of reset. I don't know if any of you have kind of felt that today, but it's like everything I was doing today, it's like I had to go back and reset and do it again. It was very strange, which is kind of makes sense after yesterday's weird shenanigans out there. I do like that word, shenanigans. So yeah, there's me roaring at this stupid bit of technology and an app. It's like, and then all of a sudden, and I still don't know what I did to make it work, but my fingers were moving, and I wasn't doing it. Yeah. Now you could call that high strangeness, but you could also call it, you know, part of me that's bigger and sees everything actually taking over and going, look, what are you doing? And actually making it work. I'm like, oh, okay, it's working. And I have no idea what I did to make it work. So that's high strangeness, if you like. But it was a different kind of high strangeness. Yeah. But yeah, what I'll say is, you know, that part of us that is bigger and sees everything, not only does it do those things to make a silly Wi-Fi booster work, but it also shows us, like you said, Litmus, those things that make you go, oh yeah, this is the path. You're okay. You're doing all right on this path. It's fine. So is what I've called high strangeness the normal? Is that the way things work when we are in true alignment? Well, I would say yes, because you're getting shown things that you could say are old energy. You could even say it that way. You could say that's old energy going, hi, to be alchemized. Oh no, I've written it down here. Remnants of the dense realms being flushed to the surface, which we know is what's happening. We know that from the sun and water and all that stuff. So we're seeing that. We're seeing the density as it's unfolding, as it's coming up. Yeah. And I suppose the observation of that is, well, yeah, I suppose, is that an acknowledgement of something, pardon me, stuck in us, maybe? Yeah. It's all on the table, really, isn't it? Because who actually knows? Well, I'm just throwing things out there, you know, something will stick somewhere. And I suppose, is this thing high strangeness or synchronistic happenings on your path? Is this the same as what people call miracles? Now, I've got a note here in my notes, funny enough. Let me just see if I can open new tab. Thank you. I was going to look up the word miracle. Let's have a look and see what that actually means. Miracle, see where it comes from. Okay, yeah, it's a very, very Abrahamic thing. Yes, okay. From miraculum, object of wonder. Okay. Yeah, so it is very much linked to the church. Object of wonder. So okay, so let's change that word right now in my Akashic vocabulary to wonder. So is high strangeness the same as wondrous things happening? I'd say yeah, and I would probably say that, you know, if you know our observation of what was happening yesterday, because we couldn't imagine what that would be like. Yeah. To be in that situation, it must have been very stressful. It must have been, you know, I can't even, I wouldn't even want to go there in my own head, let alone anything else. So having that put, because literally it was like we were sitting, you know, our whole front window looks out on their house, so we couldn't not see it, and there was a lot of activity. So it was like, it was very much put in front of our eyes, as a what are the words? Yeah, as I agree. I think it's a realization that, you know, clearly that is not a path that we are on. The path that we're on is the path we're on. So yeah, I like that. Yes.
Were you aware at all of any of the police or anyone in that scene being aware of your presence and looking in your window to see you looking out at them, or any little thing like that? Or did they just go about their thing without acknowledging you were even there?
No, they were just going about their business. The only time we spoke to an officer is because they were going around knocking on people's doors. So obviously I spoke to them. But yeah, they were very much going about what they were doing. So it was literally like in Star Trek, where they have an observation tower and they're watching the natives. You know, and non-interference almost, you know, it was quite strange.
That's why I was asking, really, because it's almost like you could be this invisible, wearing the cloak of invisibility kind of thing, you know, like you're just not part of that at all, and they're not really even almost aware that you're there, kind of thing. Yeah, like the guys from the Enterprise in the observation tower, the force field.
Yeah.
And it is then like you are just watching a movie, right? That you're observing from outside.
Yeah, definitely.
To me, that's very, very allegorical of what life is anyway in the material world. You know, it's like we're not actually here, but we're observing this movie in this place from where our true consciousness is. You know, in an avatar, like, you know.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a movie within a movie, if you see what I mean, what you were watching.
Yeah, definitely. And in now I think this is when we were studying Vedanta. So the way they kind of explain that is, you've got a movie playing on a screen and you're watching that movie. But then in that movie, you're watching a movie playing on a screen. And I think it's like four steps back is where you observe from. And it's like, whoa. Yeah, get your head around that one. But it makes sense, doesn't it? When you're observing something like that, it makes sense completely.
Yeah, and that's a bit like Inception, but also I think there was a Black Mirror episode like that in the last season, where it was like, you know, these people were observing. They were literally watching the TV, and they were watching what was happening to them in what they thought was real life happening on the TV.
Wow.
And they were they were watching themselves playing this part in this TV show. You know, it was cool, but it's very like what you're saying there.
Yeah. Wow.
And who knows where we actually are in that cascade of worlds? You know.
Absolutely.
We think we're just in one world, but we could be at some level in the cascade, a fractal of many worlds above and many worlds below, you know? That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah, multiple parallel worlds. Yeah. Just want to say hi to Agatha. Hi, Agatha, who's on YouTube at the moment. Thank you for joining us, Agatha. Yeah, so was there anything else I wanted to talk about high strangeness? I don't think there was anything else. So I was just going to pull a few cards, actually, to see if we can get some more about the nature of things that we perceive, because there's always going to be a perception. As your journey unfolds, or as you fly on your magic carpet over these things that were once wondrous but then become normal, you know, that'd be a really cool place to be, wouldn't it? Like in a place where you can just, you know, go to the other side of the world in like that, yeah, because you thought it. There is a Star Trek episode called Shore Leave. Interesting maritime connection there. Where they have to be careful what they think, because then it becomes a thing. Really interesting episode. Go and check it out if you haven't. Star Trek.
Good episode. I agree.
Yeah, series called Shore Leave. Yeah, really, really interesting episode. But you know what that tells you, and there are quite a few episodes actually in that original series. There's one where they land on a planet and they call it backward. Yeah, all these people are very backwards. They're a bit primitive, but they're actually these beings of like neutrinos who actually prefer to live that way. And Kirk and his lot are like, the Klingons are coming, and they're like, yeah, we don't care. Yeah, but the Klingons are coming. Yeah, but we don't care. And when it all kicks off and everyone's fighting each other, they just disappear in like these neutrinos. It's like, and I think Spock says something along the lines of, oh, so they were actually quite advanced beings. They were choosing to live that way. Absolutely.
Like the Nox.
Yes, like the Nox. Exactly like the Nox. Okay. Wow. So this is interesting. I just pulled 3 cards from the, what's this deck? Starseed Oracle. So we've got, oh, blimey. Let me be able to see that with this strange, the weight of the world. And this camera is a bit rubbish on here. So let me just, on here, let me just go and do that. And then you'll be able to see them. There we go. So we've got the weight of the world. Let me just share this on here. So this is interesting. So the nature of high strangeness in terms of the things that we observe that we don't quite understand. So we have boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. So that absolutely tallies with, well, this is my path. That person is having an experience over there, which is actually not my path. Yeah. Then where we go from that is this amazing card, the Whale and Orca Elders. Wow. Share your song. Frequency of sound, diving deep. So there we go. There's the frequency element. I love that. That is so cool. So we got weight of the world there. That's it. Lovely. Whale and Orca Elders. And then we have the Lost Lands. Oh, goodness me. So we have some kind of answers there. In terms of, you know, what is this high strangeness that we experience actually about? So it's not yours, you know, don't carry that. You know, observe it if you feel inclined. Yeah, because you could learn something from it, as we've kind of discovered in this chat today. You know, you could learn something from it. Not that this place is a school. I don't believe that for an instant. I think we're here to have experiences. And, you know, for your soul to, you know, go out there and go, yeah, essentially. But it's not a school. It's not a prison. I don't believe that for an instant. Did we come here for well, if we did come here for a reason, I think it would be to experience physical body ascension, because normally you have to die in order to experience that. So I agree with some people. Not everyone thinks this out there in the community, so to speak, that we are experiencing physical resistance to that, which is when we get aches and pains in the body, which is all it ever is resistance. Yeah, because, you know, we don't well, if we have ever done this before, physical ascending in the physical body, you know, we don't have a memory of it clearly, because if we did, we'd go, oh yeah, I remember that, yeah, off we go. And we'd you know, would be, you know, being the river. Yeah, instead we're like, I've just got to put the brakes on this boat. How do you put brakes on a boat? I don't know. Boat reference again. So yeah, and we got Orca and Wales as well. So we got more water. We got water, and in fact we got water in all these cards. How flipping cool is that? So that definitely points to the weaving, you could say, being in that state of being the flow. Yeah, so if you are a being which can dematerialize and material, then that would indicate some kind of fluidity in your yeah, lost land, soul memories and gifts. You've done this before. There we go. So we have done this before. We've just, well, it's obviously been a very long time since we've done this. So okay, so one question. So how do we it's not remembering, how do we align to this truth where high strangeness actually becomes wondrous happenings because you are truly aligned? There we go. That's a question. Can the cards answer the question? Let's find out. Okay. So here we've got the Guiding Light Oracle. That one. Two cards. Let's see what we have got. Oh, this came up the other day. Oh, blimey. This card keeps on coming up. So I'll share them. And share your gifts. Okay, so that mirrors that card. Share your song. There we go. So we've got Conscious Living, which is the card that keeps coming up on our Dismembering Tarot. Interesting. And share your gifts. So along with the Whale and Orca elders. Yeah. Share your gifts. That's very cool. Like that. That's wicked. Okay. So for the last few minutes, I'm going to open it up again and see if anyone wants to share their experiences at all. Of what you could call high strangeness or wondrous happenings.
I have an instance of high strangeness where before I was aware of many things,
Okay.
I was deceived about everything. So, you know, our whole history was a lie and all that. So when I came into a higher level of awareness that it was all a lie, and started just educating myself in the direction that I wanted to go instead of school or anything like that, I became aware that it was completely, you know, it's sort of like Monty Python, and now for something completely different.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because it's completely different. Reality for me is completely different than where I am, so I don't really feel at home here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Gulliver. I feel like Gulliver. All these ropes around me in one, you know, not in a soulish way where I'm limited. I feel limited by government. I feel limited by borders, by laws, by rules. You know, so I think what we're doing is we're breaking the ropes that bind us like Gulliver, and breaking out of these this entrapment or enslavement that we've been bound in for so long, and it's opening up my thought, just a different way of thinking. So that's been high strangeness, yeah.
Yes, what you're describing there, Kevin, is the Eight of Swords. 100%. Very Eight of Swords energy. So it's the cage of the mind that we've kind of agreed to, if you like, to come here. We kind of have to some degree. But then once we're here, we're like, oh, hang on. Okay, so is it your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to break those binds, break those. So I'm trying to find the Eight of Swords in this deck. There it is, right on the bottom. So the Eight of Swords, let's have a look. So this was the card that came out the other day, the Eight of Swords. So really, in this Eight of Swords, she's not a prisoner. The swords don't hold her. Yeah, the mind doesn't hold you. Yeah, let me just share this on here. It's not the mind. Sorry, it's not the. Because you could say the mind is a. Okay, I'm going to say it. You could say the mind is a fiction. Yeah.
And so would fear. Fear would be a fiction too, then.
Absolutely.
Holding their back.
Absolutely. There are many acronyms. Is that the right word? For fear, false evidence appearing real is one of them. There is another one, but I can't think what it is at this moment in time. But it's not. That's the USB stick in the head. Yeah, those programs that run that keep us contracted, like in this Eight of Swords. Yeah. So it's so if you consider, and in fact, there's a caduceus on one of these swords So all she has to do is go, right, I'm connecting to source energy, divine source energy, whatever you want to call it, that creative energy that is dormant. Yeah. Connect to it, allow it to flow freely, which is that kind of energy. It's air, so it's that inspiration, yeah, energy. And then those binds that aren't really, they're not really anything, these binds. It's not like, well, she could quite easily get out of those, yeah. She's got the blindfold on. So it's like, is this really the mind, or is it what we are told is the mind? Aha. Is it?
I think she blindfolded her truth by the lies that were told to her to make
Yes.
her feel less than.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Definitely. And in this card, you can even see that there is light there. In the corner, in the middle to the right, there is actually light there. So she's not in the darkness. She just believes that she is, because she believes that she's bound by the mind. And she believes that those binds cannot be broken. So yeah, wondrous happening. So once you then, well, if you go all the way to the 10 of Swords, that's the ending of that. Yeah, that's the total ending of that. What's the word I'm looking for? Bondage. Yeah, of that bondage that we believe we have. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah. And the light.
I was thinking suffering. Yeah, same thing. Bondage, suffering.
Yeah.
And the light is behind the Twin Towers as well there.
Yeah, that's a bit mad, isn't it?
Which is kind of like Boaz and, was it like Joachim or whatever it is? The two pillars, you know, the duality.
Yeah.
So you may think you're in fear, but all you have to do is realize that there's love as well on the other side of the coin, and choose that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the sun there. So that's, yeah, that's joy, love, all those things.
Yeah, and then I'm wondering, is the tide coming in, or has it gone out? It's gone out and left puddles, right? Rock pools.
Yeah, I'd say that's the tide gone out. Yeah.
Yeah, so that looks good, right?
Yeah, because she's not about to drown.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's actually a lot of positives in there, and that, like you say, all she has to do is realize that she's tied herself up.
Yeah.
Like you and Kevin were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And actually, there's a load of swords around her where she could probably grab one of them and cut her ropes.
Yep.
The tide coming in is more dangerous. When I was on the island of Crete, I was floating away in the morning because the tide came in.
Oh dear. You're funny, Kevin.
They're all a bit dumb there, aren't they, Kev? I've heard. They're like Cretans, aren't they? Apparently.
Yeah, those Cretans are good for nothing. They were living in caves. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's a proper Basil Brush moment there. Boom, boom. Oh dear, that's funny. Anyone else have any observations or anything about the cards or what I've spoken about?
The only other thing I've noticed is in the caduceus, you've got 2 8s. It's the 8 of swords, and you've got 2 8s in the well, almost more than that. If you assume the one at the top is also an 8 joining up.
Yeah.
There's like 1, 2. There's like 3.
Yeah, 3 8s.
3 8s, yeah.
32, which is 5.
I was thinking the weight of the world is where we are right now because of the torsion or tension between the polarities, where it's just kind of splitting or tearing, and in order to, you got to go deep. You got to go deep to figure it out. So to know better that it's been a grand illusion, and you got to see through it. So you walk your way away from it to something new that's more real to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that diving deep is that infinite that infinite question: who am I? Who am I? And once you kind of start to get an idea of that, then that when everything around you is that it's that poem by Rudyard Kipling, isn't it? If I can't remember the exact words, but if you can stand your ground and be still, or everything around you is going to crap, then I think you pretty much made it, or at least you've gone up a step.
Yeah, the way of the master is to walk the line between the yin and the yang, the balance line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, tightrope. What were you saying, Andy? You said something.
Yeah, I'm just going to say there's a little bit of strangeness right there with what you just said, because when Danny was doing his last Taoism show, one of the passages, I referenced the if you can keep your head well while all those around you are losing theirs.
Yeah.
The saying is, you haven't grasped the level, the gravity of the situation. But I changed it to, if you can keep your head while all those around you are losing theirs, then you are with the Tao.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. That Andy brought this up just an hour or so ago, 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's funny that you both mentioned that sort of poem.
Yeah.
And who is it? Who wrote it?
It's Rudyard Kipling who wrote If.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
He writes exceedingly good poems.
He does. He does.
Hey, he wrote The Jungle Boy too, I think.
The Jungle Book. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool author. Okay, does anyone have any last thoughts on high strangeness, or wondrous happenings, as I am now calling it? Wondrous happenings. So we've had a flip during the show today. I like that.
That just reminds me, back in the day, one of my favourite bands, punk bands, was a band called Dead Kennedys, and the record company that they released their records on was called Alternative Tentacles. And I would play with that, and I would call it Different Feelers.
Cool. I can hear Tobias.
Strangeness was when I first got into reading the works of Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh yeah, Poe is amazing.
Very high strangeness.
Yeah.
Or looking at a Salvador Dali painting. That's very strangeness.
Yeah, I remember being when so it was 4th year of junior school, and our teacher brought in a print of Picasso's the Civil War painting with, it was like, that was high strangeness. First time I'd ever seen anything like that in my whole life, and I'm like, whoa. Amazing, but very strange, especially when you're only 10.
melting clocks.
That was Dali. Yeah.
Oh, Dali, yeah. That's what you said, right?
No, Picasso, he does the cubist movement, so everything is like cubey.
For some reason, I thought you said Salvador Dali. I don't know why.
Kevin said Dali.
No, it was me. I saw Dali in the what's it called, the Musée d'Orsay in Paris, and there was just one painting there as a good size, but to make any sense of it, no, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Guy was crazy.
I think he probably had too much absinthe. That's what that was about.
I've got, you were talking about fear, acronyms with fear earlier. So I noticed if you rearrange fear, you get FARE, F-A-R-E.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone likes to go to the fun fair, right?
Yep.
And FARE can mean fun activities reinvigorate everyone.
Okay.
So I would turn it around rather than fear and turn it into a word like fair. Go to the fair and have some fun, and it'll reform your energy. Yeah.
That's
anyway,
cool.
that's that came to me.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
That's cool. What else do we have? Rafe. Rafe.
We get excited by fear as well, don't we? We like to be made afraid. What popped into my head then when Whitman said down what you were saying, Angie, was when we go to the fun fair, we go on the ghost train, we go on the roller coaster, we get the highs and the lows, we get the speed, we get the sensation, we get the fear of doing these things, and we get pleasure out of it, even if it's just up for 2 or 3 minutes, which is why we like horror films and thrillers. And we seem to enjoy being in a fear state, but we know we're coming out of it at the other end.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think if you were reliving last year, which was a roller coaster, you'd be like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah, at a fun fair, you know it's coming to an end, don't you? But yeah, if your whole life was like that, you wouldn't live very long, would you really?
Your whole life is a fun fair, isn't it? That is what life is. And you just pick the entertainment that you want to go to, whether it's the ducks, picking the ducks out of the water or getting a goldfish, a dartboard, or going on the ghost train or the Wurlitzer or whatever it might be.
The Hall of Mirrors.
Yeah, the Hall of Mirrors. Simple but effective.
Very effective. Yeah, wow.
A healthy dose of fear can save us from danger. I didn't have that fear when I walked up to a bison in Yellowstone, but I was just thinking about that. I sure would have shown a different type of fear if that thing started chasing me.
Definitely, Kevin. Blimey. Wow. Yeah, quite amazing. Okay, folks. If no one's got anything else to add to this high strangeness episode, or wondrous happenings. Yeah. Two sides of the same coin, definitely. So if no one else has got anything,
I will just throw in that no matter who you are, when you experience high strangeness, you will raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, I wish I could raise one eyebrow. I tried to do that for years and it didn't work. So I just go, that's weird. With a Y.
And one may consider high strangeness is complete completely normal to the individual.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying earlier. You know, when does the high strangeness, when do the wondrous happenings actually become the norm? You know, does that then tell you that you're on a timeline that is pure wonder? Now that would be something. I'd be going around all day going, a leaf, it's a leaf, it's a squirrel.
If you're not experiencing high strangeness on a regular basis, give your head a wobble.
Yeah. Or go round and round and round and round really quickly and then try not to be sick. Okay, folks. So, what are my last words here? Let's just pick a card at random. Okay, last words. Oh my goodness. It's a picture of the earth. Okay, so my last words. Okay, home sweet home. And weirdly, it's number 18, which is 9, which is endings. So is the earth about to explode? No, I don't think so. This is about your relationships with your this home, this planet, and the people on it that you care about. Yeah, this is very much. So I'm not necessarily looking at the words. I'm looking at the feeling of the card, which very much says, you know, this isn't this. How can this be a school or a video game? Or, you know, when you go outside and you walk in nature, that's real. Yeah. And I was told, so this was a couple of years ago, and we were sitting on the marshes, and I got a very clear, it was a feeling kind of image, but it was a knowing as well, that when we came here originally, yeah, it was to experience the actual world, the natural world, nature. Yeah. We didn't come here to experience, you know, having to get money or having to get the latest car. We didn't come here for that. We came here for the wondrous happenings that are this natural world. Yeah. And I'd say that's what this card, Home Sweet Home, is all about. So yeah, I'm going to stop.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get back to the garden.
Yep, we do.
We are stardust. We are.
We need to get to the shore leave.
Yes. Yes, please.
Yeah, we didn't come here to work, we came to play.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Playground. This is a physical, biological, carbon-based life form playground. And that's what we're here to do, is experience the play.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're not here to work, we're here to play and learn to love each other every day. We're not here to do, but just to be what we are naturally.
Yeah.
Cool.
I will get that posted up in the next minute or two, Angie, and get that forwarded over to you and get it pinned up for everybody else on the station group. Thank you.